I'm delighted to be here to talk to you this morning about media literacy and countering disinformation. And first of all, I'd like to thank Iglika from the Media Literacy Coalition and the Friedrich Naumann Foundation for Freedom for inviting me to talk to you this morning. And I'd also like to thank the technical team this morning. I know how tricky this can be, and it's all been very efficient. And also to the interpreters, without whom I would not be able to do my job or present to you this morning. So I've been working in the area of media literacy for over a decade, specialising mainly in policy and strategy, research, but also project management itself. And I'm also the National Coordinator for Media Literacy Ireland. And what I'd like to do this morning is just to go through, ask some kind of basic questions and set the scene a little. So explore, what is media literacy? Why is it important? And whose job is it? But most importantly, I'd like to explore, what does collaboration look like? So what is media literacy? Well, I wish I had a 15-second answer to this, but unfortunately I do not. There is no universally agreed definition of media literacy. It's a dynamic concept and it evolves in response to changes in technology, in society, in culture, and in politics. I describe media literacy as an umbrella term that covers a very broad range of skills or literacies that people need to access and use to understand and critically evaluate and participate in the media, in the fast-changing media landscape that we find ourselves in now. And different people and different organisations will describe media literacy slightly differently depending on their areas of interest or expertise or policy priorities. But for this presentation, I'm going to use the term media literacy. Excuse me. So why is it important? In the last decade in particular, digital technologies are a lot more personal and powerful than anything that we've had before. And we're not just receivers of media content, we're all content creators and distributors now, with some amazing opportunities and outcomes. Just imagine how hard lockdown would have been even 10 years ago, when only a handful of people had smartphones, nobody had tablets, and there was no video calls, no Zoom, no online webinars. So the advantages are obvious and they're huge, but the evolution of technology has not been without its challenges, such as online safety and security, digital exclusion, and of course the information disorder that we find ourselves in. We're bombarded with information, and a lot of online content is not subject to any effective editorial process. This combined with the social media infrastructure that's designed to reward emotive, highly charged content with likes and shares and comments makes it increasingly difficult to make informed choices about what we're reading, hearing, or seeing. Sometimes our choice of content is influenced by our own bias, sometimes by algorithms that accommodate the world to our taste, and that's where media literacy comes in. Being media literate means being able to critically understand and evaluate media content and to responsibly and safely use digital media services. Media literacy helps us engage with others in the public sphere using the creative and participatory potential that new technologies and services can offer. But media literacy is also knowing how to access the media, from literally knowing how to get online and navigate around, to understanding how the media works, who owns it, how it's funded, how it's regulated, and how it's made. It also covers a huge area of online safety and security, and more recently it covers things like understanding how data is used and how algorithms work. And of course, at the centre of media literacy is the ability to reflect and to think critically about media, to analyse it and to make informed choices about the content that we engage with, that we share, and that we create. Now, media literacy touches on many policy areas, and while everyone can see the benefits of promoting media literacy, often nobody actually has overall responsibility to make it happen. and this can make it difficult to secure long-term funding for projects, and more importantly, it can make it hard to see what sector or organisations should be providing leadership. So what you have on screen here is supposed to be a soup bowl, because I describe it sometimes as policy soup. And despite the policy soup that media literacy finds itself in, it is rising on policy agendas across the world. For example, there's now a legal obligation on EU member states via the Audiovisual Media Services Directive to promote and take measures for the development of media literacy skills. There's also a growing acceptance that media literacy is an essential life skill and that requires lifelong learning. And just recently in Ireland, the government published a 10-year adult literacy for life strategy, which included digital literacy on an equal footing with numeracy and literacy. However, there is a key difference between developing literacy or numeracy skills and developing media literacy skills, because media literacy requires constant updating. It really is a lifelong approach. Or as Alvin Toffler pointed out, the illiterate of the 21st century are not those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. And the pandemic is a great example. 18 months ago, nobody thought that using video communication tools like Zoom would become pretty much an essential skill for everybody, but especially for older people, medically vulnerable, and children. But then COVID happened, and suddenly we all needed to learn these new skills. So media literacy is a lifelong learning journey, and it's often a behaviour change journey. And changing behaviour takes energy, it takes insight, and it takes commitment from a range of different stakeholders to provide support to people at different stages of their media literacy learning journey. So this brings us to the important question of whose job is it? Well, they say it takes a community to raise a child. Now, I believe it takes society and all of it to promote media literacy. With the convergence of digital media and communications technologies and services, almost every sector stands to benefit from a more media literate society, and almost every sector has a role to play in helping to promote media literacy. This cross-sectoral approach has been recognised in a number of international policy actions, such as the Council of Europe recommendation on media pluralism and the transparency of media ownership, and of course the amended AVMS directive that I mentioned earlier. I want to take a look now at how a cross-sectoral approach is being used to promote media literacy. And the example I'm taking is from Ireland, and it's Media Literacy Ireland. And I'm the national coordinator of this project. And Media Literacy Ireland is an informal alliance of people and organisations working together in Ireland to promote media literacy. It's facilitated by the media regulator in Ireland, the Broadcast Authority of Ireland. It's been operating now for almost 4 years, and in that time we've grown from around 200, from about 20 interested parties to over 200 members. The members come from a very broad range of sectors, and as I said, it's facilitated by the Broadcasting Authority of Ireland. Members work on a voluntary basis, but are involved in the running of Media Literacy Ireland and contribute in a variety of ways, such as working on the steering group, which sets a strategic direction, or various working groups and project groups. So Media Literacy Ireland acts as an enabler for media literacy stakeholders in Ireland, and there's 4 key strands to this work. We're the first port of call for media literacy stakeholders in Ireland, but also abroad, and at facilitating stakeholders to connect with one another. We foster discussion and debate around all aspects of media literacy through social media, through webinars, through events, and also regular member communications. We also inspire and encourage and facilitate the development of new projects, programs and interventions. We're currently looking at developing a Media Literacy Awards program. And last but certainly not least, We use the strength and reach and expertise of the members to identify emerging issues that we can collectively highlight through multi-stakeholder public awareness campaigns, identify solutions, and signpost to sources of support. So I want to take a few minutes now to give you an example of a media literacy project that was founded on collaboration. Be Media Smart is an initiative in Ireland which encourages people to stop, think and check that the information that they read, see or hear is reliable and accurate. And this initiative was developed back in 2019 to coincide with the first media literacy, the European Media Literacy Week. The original concept was based on the idea that in the same way that people are interested in where their food comes from, wouldn't it be great if we could encourage people to be as interested about where their information comes from? This project really demonstrated collaboration at its finest, and these logos represent the MLI members who were actively involved in developing and supporting the campaign, all in line with their own areas of expertise. And as you can see, we had a large number of media organisations who were a critical partner in terms of raising awareness of media literacy issues and signposting people to sources of support. RTE, the public service broadcaster in Ireland, led on the creative aspect of the campaign and produced this TV ad free of charge, which was also made available to every other broadcaster in the country. And I'm going to play this now very quickly.
It's important to you to know where your food comes from. Isn't it just as important to know where your information comes from? It's not always easy to verify what you see, read or hear, but now there's help. Visit www.bemediasmart.ie. Stop, think, check. Be Media Smart. Brought to you by Media Literacy Ireland.
In addition to the TV ads, we also had a series of radio ads that were broadcast for free across all commercial, public and community radio stations and achieved an estimated reach of over 2 million people, which is almost half the population of Ireland. I'm not going to play them now because we're running a little short of time. We also had newspaper ads carried for free across all of these publications, and the campaign also benefited from a lot of editorial coverage on TV, radio and the press. This coverage really underlined how topical this issue is and the appetite within the media to do something about it. Reinforcing all of this coverage, there was also a social media campaign involving a very wide range of members, using freely available social media assets supported by free ad credit from Facebook, Google and Twitter for non-profit members. And all of the media directed people to a microsite, bemediasmart.ie, which provides simple tips on how to verify information and links to resources from partners across Ireland and abroad. Now, the campaign was a huge success for us, and we were in the process of developing phase 2 when, of course, COVID happened. So in the spring of 2020, a wave of misinformation around COVID-19 hit us. And in response to this, Media Literacy Ireland members automatically came together again to promote the Be Media Smart and the Stop, Think, Check message, but this time in relation to checking that the information about COVID-19 was accurate and reliable. This year, the initiative ran again from April at a time when there was a particular need for people to make informed choices about the COVID-19 vaccination based on accurate and reliable information. And we had a new TV ad, but I'm not going to play it because I'm conscious of time here this morning. And we also had new radio ads and new social media assets as well as a new fact check section on the website. Now, a key success measure for us is how the Stop, Think, Check message has been embedded into partner campaigns such as Age Action's Getting Started programme for older people, for the government's Be Safe Online campaign, and in a suite of resources from WebWise for younger people. In particular, there's a wonderful animation and video. It's a song for primary school children. It's an online safety code, and it's a rap. And in this rap, they rap about stop, think, check. So it's a wonderful example of how an idea that developed within Media Literacy Ireland has spread across a lot of members, and they're using it freely themselves. Finally, I want to very quickly give you an example of a role that commercial companies can play in promoting media literacy. Now, this is not related to Media Literacy Ireland, but the Edit is an initiative from commercial broadcaster Sky and the software company Adobe. And it's a digital storytelling challenge and competition that helps children explore how to create and tell stories using media. And the project also shows how the development of media literacy skills can contribute to democratic engagement and participation. So in summary, media literacy is now a critical life skill that needs constant updating. People of all ages need these skills in order to make informed decisions about so many aspects of life. As a subject requiring lifelong learning, media literacy needs strategic coordination of cross-sector support with long-term funding to achieve impact. And cross-sector collaboration, where partners play to their own strengths, can pay great dividends. So I'm going to leave it there now. Thank you very much. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to play more videos, but if anybody has any questions, please do feel free to contact me.